What if I told you that people in shape are not twice as active, not 5 times as active, but more like 10 times as active as the average person? If you don't believe me, let me explain, and soon you will be seeing weight loss results that will even have you shocked. So first, let's take a look at the numbers. When I was trying to lose weight for the very first time, I was averaging around 3,000 steps per day. I didn't do any cardio and I didn't work out at all. All I did was try various different fad diets in hopes that one of them would work. Now, comparing me 4 years later, I am a whole different person. I get in 10,000 steps daily, lift 7 times a week, do cardio 7 times a week, and I also work a physical job. And if we do some number crunching here, I inputted this into the almighty ChatGPT, and it spewed back that I am over 10 times as active by the calorie burn compared to how much I used to be back in the day. But how about now we leave this aside and compare me to my most active, which was when I was prepping for my fight. So, daily weightlifting, daily cardio, and Muay Thai 2 times per day, as well as 10,000 steps. This gets me to nearly a 20 times increase in physical activity compared to me when I was doing 3K steps a day trying to fat diet my way out of being fat. Now do you see exactly why athletes lose weight easily and fat people stay fat, average people stay fat for the rest of their lives? It's not because we do something special or we abuse certain drugs that, make us lose weight. Certain people do, sure. But the main point is, obese people have no idea how much more active their lives need to become. And upping your daily activity in whatever way you find the easiest is probably one of the best ways to start burning more calories and not need to change anything about the way you eat. Now, is cleaning up your diet important? Is it probably more important than actually doing cardio? Yeah, probably it is. But I promise you that as long as you are active, you do some sort of sports, get your ass moving, you will actually be more motivated to fix up your diet in the back end. If you are doing the cardio, you will want to push the performance of the cardio over time, and thus you are going to have more incentive to actually clean up your diet. You can get to the point with physical activity where you actually have a hard time eating the correct amount of food. Right now, I am bulking up on 4,500 calories. I am having a difficult time gaining weight. Some days I will put so much food into my body that it gets to the point where I can't eat. I physically cannot force myself to eat more food. Could you imagine what an amazing issue that would be to have for a fat person? That would be fantastic. So keeping all of this in mind, how do you actually go about upping your daily activity? The thing about activity is it becomes easier to do the more you do it. But in the beginning, you need to start slow. The mindset that I want you to keep is that if you are exercising simply 3 times per week for 30 minutes, you are 2 times or even 3 times as active as the average person. And this doesn't scale linearly to fat loss. If you are twice or 3 times as active as the average person, you don't just get 2 to 3 times the results. You get more like 5 to 10 times the results. Now, what if you did double the exercise? Maybe the results could come 40 times faster. To start increasing your activity level, you have to start slow, and there's 2 types of activity. There is active activity, which consists of any type of sport, any literal cardio that you're doing, and any sort of strength training from calisthenics to weightlifting. And then there's passive activity, which is daily steps, working a physical job, and any other accidental form of getting in activity. The single most easiest way to start losing weight instantly is by upping your passive activity, because by nature it feels passive and not like hard work at all. So find excuses to up your step count. We want to work up to 10,000 daily steps 7 days per week because that is the gold standard. So the way to get up there is, let's say week 1 you're walking 5,000 steps per day. The next week just start hitting 6,000 steps per day. Then the week after do 7, then 8, then 9, and then over the span of a month or 2 you'll be doing 10k steps a day and it won't feel like a challenge at all. Just find excuses to walk around more. Go on walks. Start calling people when you're walking. FaceTime your friends. Go chat shit. Go walk around in the park on the FaceTime call. Do something. You have a brain. Figure out ways that will make you excited to go out and get in some daily activity. Use walking around as an opportunity to chat up strangers and then level up your social skills. Just find reasons to get your ass moving. As far as active activity, it's always great to exercise, and of course it's fantastic, but I would recommend that before you start exercise, you should probably nail down the 10K steps per day, because you are much less likely to quit getting in the daily active step count than starting a physical routine. So get in the 10K steps. Once you start getting in 10K steps, add some exercise on top of it once the 10K steps become easy. Now, is this a hard rule? No, it's not. You can try adding in exercise, but from what I've found, you will make more progress, but in the long term, you're much more likely to fall off and quit all types of exercise, all types of activity. So start with one, get in the 10K steps, then progress towards the active activity. Slow progress that never stops is much better than really fast progress for 1 week that never gets continued ever again. So with exercise, the exact same slow increment idea applies. You can simply start with 3 training sessions per week that are 30 minutes long. And personally, I recommend that most people start with some type of strength training, whether that's calisthenics or weightlifting, because it is much more addictive than cardio. And once again, I repeat, 30 minutes 3 times per week. I do not care if this is push-ups and squats at home, dumbbells at home, or you getting your ass into the gym. And if you can't find time, then just for the love of God, click off this video. If you're telling me you can't find a free 90 minutes in the entire week that has over 10,000 minutes in it, then you are beyond the scope of help. You don't have a weight loss problem. You have some type of mental retardation that I cannot fix. So start with 30 minutes 3 times per week. Once this becomes a routine and it becomes habitual, slowly start progressing it. Do the same thing 4 times per week, or still keep it at 3 training sessions but 40 minutes per day. You want to keep increasing this up until the point where you are exercising every single day or around 1 hour 3 times per week. The general idea here is you start slow and as easy as possible and then progress it over time. Because if you jump headfirst into exercise, lifting weights, cardio, and then also trying to do 20,000 steps per day, you are trying to go from 0 to 100, which always leads to failure. The philosophy that I always preach on this channel is you never try to go from 0 to 100. You always try to go from 0 to 1 to 2, then to 3. When you progress slowly over the span of weeks and months, the increments and the jumps of difficulty that you are making are barely perceptible. Going from 0 to 1 is 100 times easier than going from 0 to 100. Going from 1 to 2 is 100 times easier than going from 0 to 100. But if you keep on making these small increments over the span of weeks and months, you will look back and you'll realize that you're at, level 50, you're at level 100, and it only felt as difficult as making the small increment of 0 to 1. What types of exercise should you do? Now, I always recommend that first and foremost, you find an exercise method that you can stick to for the rest of your life. But if you still want my personalized recommendations, then here is what I can say. When starting exercise, for fatter people like myself back in the day, I always recommend that you start with weightlifting or calisthenics. You see, the calories that you burn from cardio is, of course, much larger than the calories that you burn from weight training. You will burn more fat if you do cardio and not lift weights. But what we are going for is not calories burned in the short term, but rather lifelong consistency. I want you to really think about how many people you've seen start cardio and then do cardio for the rest of their lives. I mean, it really is like 1 in a million people. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, think about how many people start weightlifting, they get addicted to growing muscle, then they realize that they're getting a little bit chubby, they've built a pretty good amount of size, and now they want to lean down and start doing cardio to lose the weight so they can show their muscles. And then by this process, they end up getting hooked on cardio. I bet you that the percentage of people that only do cardio is actually lower than the percentage of people that weightlift and do cardio. Now, at first, this statistic doesn't make sense, but the more you think about it, the more you realize that there's a lot of truth behind it. Building muscle is far more addictive than doing cardio, and I think growing size is the perfect gateway into fitness. Think of the classic trope of the high schooler kid who starts lifting weights and then over the span of a couple of years gets into fantastic shape. They never start with cardio, do they? Or think of any older person who gets into fantastic shape too. If you were to go up to them and ask them how they got there, they would never say that they started with cardio. And so if you have the social skills for for it, next time you see an older person who's in fantastic shape, go ahead and ask them how they got into shape. 9 times out of 10, they started with lifting. Cardio just has a barrier of entry that is too high for beginners in my opinion. When you're lifting weights and doing calisthenics, you get a pump, the blood is flowing through your muscles, you instantly look bigger, you instantly look better, and you're hooked on that feeling. You have newbie gains for the first few months when you start hitting the gym, where you will make like 10 or 20 pounds of muscle within the first couple of months of you starting. You will make rapid progress and you will get addicted to it. And once you're addicted to strength training, cardio is not that big of a jump. Because trust me, nobody gets addicted to cardio and then adds in weightlifting and then starts cleaning up their diet. After the gym, you feel strong, you feel confident, you have a pump, and it's actually fun to push hard. After cardio, you feel weak, you feel tired. You may be all sweaty and it's actually difficult to push hard in cardio. And circling back, this is why I always recommend for people who don't have fantastic discipline, just like how I didn't back in the day, to start with weightlifting or calisthenics. Why are you making it harder for yourself? Fall in love with one vector of fitness and then cardio will come naturally to you. Diet will come naturally to you. Sleep will come naturally to you. And trust me, adding in cardio when you already like another type of fitness becomes infinitely more easier than just starting cardio from the get-go. This is almost in a way the 0 to 100 versus the 0 to 1 to 2 to 3 principle all over again. Okay, but what about the diet? Look, I've been chatting about exercise this entire video, but at the end of the day, if you are gorging 5,000 calories daily, no amount of exercise is going to help you. Even if I myself ate 5,000 calories daily, I would probably get fat. So making your diet better is always something that you should be striving towards. But the idea of this video is that adding in exercise is a fantastic way to lose more weight or still lose weight in spite of not having the perfect diet. Now, another benefit of exercise is that in a very similar way how weightlifting is the gateway to cardio, I also find that weightlifting is the gateway to a good diet and good sleep. And overall, weightlifting is very commonly the gateway to self-improvement. You see, when you start growing some muscle, you start getting addicted to the way your body looks, to the way that people treat you, the way that people become nicer to you. You get the halo effect. You feel more confident. And so to gain more positive validation, you need to grow more muscle. But to gain more muscle, your sleep needs to be in check. You can't be drinking, you can't be overly stressed, and most importantly, your diet needs to be in check. And this is exactly how I got into shape without having it feel exceedingly difficult. I realized that, damn, if I want to grow muscle, well, I have to up my protein. By nature of eating more protein, I'm eating more eggs, I'm eating more beef, I'm eating more fish, I'm eating more chicken, and by nature of eating whole foods, I am too satiated to crave junk food. Over time, you start realizing that your diet is actually becoming very clean, but it didn't feel difficult at all because you were never hopping on a diet. It was more or less a logical switch to progress you further to your goals. A lot of times when we don't have a direct reason to change our diets, when we don't have a specified goal, a very strong drive, then we're not as motivated to actually, change the diet, lose the weight, get into shape. You're like the chain smoker who has no reason to quit because they haven't yet got a cancer diagnosis. When you pick up on the fact that having muscle makes other people treat you better and your life becomes better in every other way, and you realize that the best way to grow muscle is to have everything in your life in check, you are much more motivated to actually take care of those things. And thus, making progress towards your goals becomes effortless. If you found this video helpful and you trust me enough, press the first link in the description and join our school group. There you can find courses on nutrition, weight loss, and muscle growth that will fast track your journey to success.